Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast, where we break down everything short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, and building a profitable hospitality business. Whether you're a host, investor, or property manager, we share real strategies, real insights, and real experiences to help you scale smarter and grow faster. Let's dive in.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Codd. I'm here with Austin Spitzenberger. And today, for the second time around on Co-Host Bros Radio, we have Joe Rhone.
What's happening? I'm glad to be here again.
Joe Money, what's up, dude? How you doing today?
Man, I can't complain. It's been 2025 has been a amazing and life-changing year, and man, I'm very blessed and very excited to be here with you guys.
Do you go? I hear people pronounce it both ways. Do you go Roni or Rhone? And we had this on this last first podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Yep. The official is Roni, but our business name is Rhone Casa Hospitality, and people have called me Rhone my whole life.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So last time we had you on the show, I don't remember. Maybe you were an agent at the time or broker, or I don't remember what it was. But regardless, I see on Facebook and a lot of social media that you are crushing it. You and your team are crushing it there in Florida, helping people buy and sell short-term rentals. So what does that look like for you, man? Since we last chat, like how's the real estate business been, and how's it kind of taken off?
It's been huge. I mean, obviously, joined the Savvy team in August of 2024, and so I'm about a year and a half in with them now. And I've built a team in Florida, so I now have 3 other agents that are working underneath me, and we are helping tons of investors find really good deals. I think as a team, we're going to close close to $40 million this year alone, and the other 2 team members didn't even start until after the second part of the year. So super excited. The future in real estate investing down in Florida is looking really good. Prices have come down a little bit to where the numbers make sense, and there's some good investments.
That's awesome, man. I'm trying to do that math. I'm not going to announce it. I'm just kind of looking. So your team did 40 million in transactions. Am I right? And what
Yes.
over what period of time?
So 12 months. So January 1st through the end of next week will be just right at or just shy of $40 million.
Okay, gotcha. And then you have a couple people that work with you, under you. How does that kind of set up?
Yeah, so I kind of, obviously we're part of the Savvy team with Tyler Kuhn. And when I became an agent, I said, I have too much of a space to cover. So I'd like to build a team within a team. So our mastermind members that Philip and Kate Munoz and Leah also joined. So I have all 3 of those on my team. So I'm the team leader of the Savvy Emerald Coast team. And Leah kind of handles everything 30A. Philip and Kate handle everything in the Forgotten Coast. And then we kind of share the Destin Fort Walton area right now. And we're probably looking for a new agent to take over the Pensacola and Navarre area here in the first quarter. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think based on being in your mastermind and knowing some of the great folks in there, every time I log into Facebook, I see a new member from the mastermind group has joined the Savvy team. And it's like, I've seen the Savvy photo was like 3 or 4 folks. You were kind of like maybe one of the more OGs that came on board. And now I see their photos, and it's almost like a yearbook picture where it's like, you got like 40 agents. So that seems like they're taking over the world. But I think you guys are doing a really good job, because the people that you're putting in place at your agency are like people that are on the Savvy team. They're like people that also own properties. They're niche down into this specific space. So, do you guys do transactions outside of short-term rental related stuff, or is that just like that staying in your lane kind of thing?
In Missouri, I do, because I'm not a Savvy agent in Missouri, so I'm still helping friends and family with, regular transactions. But in Florida, 100% is short-term rentals, vacation rentals. If I get leads for somebody looking to move there, I'm actually, handing that off to another agent that I know in the market, because we really don't deal with, home buyers for, permanent residents. We're really focused on just investors.
Yeah, gotcha. So I'm gonna say, Joe, in today's market, there's no deals out there in your area. Insurance costs too much money, and there's just nothing that cash flows. So how are you gonna debunk this myth for me?
Well, I can just tell you about my purchase that I made 1 year ago, and it was a purchase of $785,000. We're about 2.5 blocks from the beach. My wife did an awesome design in it, and we did get about 40K in seller credit. So our net price was about 745. We're sitting at $141,000 gross rents year to date, and our net income after all expenses is just over $34,000 with a cash on cash return of 22%.
Wow. With your mortgage and everything, your expenses are 34,000, huh?
No,
Oh,
that's
okay.
our profit. Our profit is
Oh, profit.
$34,000
Okay. Yeah.
after all expenses,
Got it.
everything,
Got
including
it.
any repairs or anything else for the year.
So
That's killer.
yeah, so what does that look like? Like what's the roadmap? Like obviously every situation is different, but what's the roadmap to having a successful deal like that? I know there's a lot of working parts, and there's definitely a way to do this correctly. Any kind of advice if an investor is out there looking and they want to find a market, so they're like, "Hey, Joe, what advice, I guess, do you have to where you make this deal work out so flawlessly in the market that we're in?"
I think the number one thing is, I mean, every market is investable if you find the right deal, and working with the right agent, you're going to find the right deal. And the numbers have to pencil out. We've helped our investors fill out pro forma templates, and we're putting in good, better, best to say, okay, this is the worst case scenario. This is the best case scenario. Hopefully, you follow somewhere in the middle, and that's what your numbers are going to be. But at the same time, in order to hit those numbers, every house is going to have to be updated in design. Every house is going to have added amenities or decor or whatever it may be, because the majority of the houses that are on the market right now, they're failing short-term rentals because the people bought them, thought they were turnkey, put them online, and thought they were going to make a lot of money, and they're not. So that's the issue with the short-term rental game right now, is there's a lot of really average properties on the market, and if you want to be successful, you gotta level up. You got to take it over the top.
Dude, Austin, oh, you froze, Austin. I thought you were going to say something. I feel like that's super true. I feel like, especially like in the beach markets or like vacation markets right now, it's like a lot of people are trying to sell stuff that's just like plain Jane. And a lot of, even I have some owners that just don't seem to get it. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like you have to compete. Like you have to do something. You can't just do nothing and just hope that you're going to get the same return you got before. Right. So it's like super imperative that if you're going to buy something or invest in something, to be able to put money into it and make it, top tier, right?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a graphic from AirDNA just a couple weeks ago, and it showed October luxury properties that are well designed, and a luxury property could be a 2 bedroom, but top tiered properties were up double digits in October, but average and below average looking properties were down double digits. So in this market, you have to level up your listing. You have to make it stand out, and we're in a world of everybody scrolls. And I always talk about, what is your scroll stopping photos? What is going to make someone stop scrolling through all these different listings to make them stop on yours and take a look at it?
Yeah. Yeah. So with the structure of like your team, your real estate team, how does that work? Like, is it more like a regular structure, as in like if someone on your team sells a house, you get a piece, or I don't know if you could share any of that. I'm just curious on how that structure kind of works. Or do you guys just
Yeah.
do it all together, or?
Yep. No, I mean, the split goes to the agent, just like it would be, just like my split is with Savvy, but I do get a little bit of a split that goes towards Savvy, and that's helping pay for, those splits are paying for marketing, for our exclusive partnerships with a lot of the data platforms. And that's really, I mean, the back end part that Savvy does for us is amazing. I've worked for a lot of different real estate companies and a couple different brokerages over the years, and I have not been with any team that provides the support and resources that I get from Savvy. It's actually pretty amazing.
I love that, man. So you offer services to help people invest from an agent perspective. Now, you also have a management portfolio too of people that you from what I understand, very selectively take on. So what's your management portfolio look like today, and kind of where do you think that's headed?
So currently we're co-hosting 13. We brought on a couple super properties this year. We actually just got done designing two golf front 5-bedroom, 5.5 bath homes. I'm actually meeting Sam Smith in PCB coming up this Sunday to get the best of the best to photo my properties. And so those two are properties that are probably due about 250 plus each. And we're actually pumpkin planting. We're actually going to make the decision to I'm actually handing off two of my properties in one market to one of my co-host members, our co-host mastermind members, and two properties to another co-host mastermind member. And these are properties that were some of my early on vacation rental properties that I started co-hosting. And, but they don't have pools, they don't have the extra amenities. And we're really moving our brand of our co-hosting into just luxury. 4 and 5 bedroom homes or more, in-ground pools, fully renovated and designed. And that's really the focus for us.
Yeah, I think that's the secret right there. I feel like at that property count and you kind of being the main point of contact there, like you've gotten to a point where you can say you could just be very selective and then you could just make a lot of money. And I think, wouldn't you say, from my experience, it takes the same amount of the same amount of power, manpower, I guess, to manage those properties that don't have the pool, that are farther away from the beach, than it does the 5-bedroom beachfront with a pool for the most part. I mean, is that kind of your reasoning there, or what's your thought process kind of behind like pumpkin planting
So it,
those properties?
yeah, so it's that, for one. For two, and I'll argue that my properties are easier to manage because when you have redesigned, well maintained, awesome super properties, you're not handling as many guest issues, you're not handling as many complaints, and you have happier guests, because they're coming to a great experience. And that's really what we're trying to provide, is that experience. And that's what guests today are looking for. They're not looking for a house. They're looking for that experience. I'll actually share a review I got on one of the properties that we redesigned earlier this year. And it was on the private part of the Airbnb review, but the guest actually said, we always come to PCB. We've been coming here for a decade, and we always get a great house. We go to the beach, we come home, and everybody kind of goes in their own ways and goes to their rooms and hangs out, maybe watches movies, and we do it again the next day. But this time we stayed at Joe's property, and his backyard space was amazing. And we made the most amazing family memories because of that outdoor space. And we spent every night together out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome.
go for it, Matt. Sorry.
No, you said you got one more, bro. You can. I'm
Oh,
waiting
I
for
was
you.
just gonna say, I know
It
Joe
came through.
manages. No, I just wanted to pivot. I know Joe manages, and he's the PCB guy. I think PCB for me just has that stereotype, and I know it's just because of it is what it is, but it's the stereotype of like everyone, all the young people go down there and they party and they get crazy. Is that my own mindset, or is that just like spring break, or like what's the PCB market like, I guess?
Yeah, and in 2015 or in 2018, it was like that. But after Hurricane Michael came through in 2018, PCB eliminated all the spring breakers. We don't even allow alcohol on the beach in the month of March. Now, do we still get spring breakers? Yes. Do I allow spring breakers in my houses? I actually do, and I'll argue that some of them are some of my most respectful. Of course, there's always a few, hiccups with anything, but we keep our calendars very full in March, and I have them sign rental agreements and security deposits, and we have some really great spring break guests. But we also have lots of families, and that's really what PCB has shifted to. I'll say that it's the most family friendly beach in the Florida Panhandle now. We just got the new Dolly Parton Pirate Dinner Theater that just opened up. We just got a Top Golf. We got Ripley's. We got Wonderworks. I mean, there's just so many activities for families to do, and that's really our avatar. Our avatar is 4 to 5 bedroom homes getting 1 to 2, sometimes 3 families sharing a house.
Yeah. I noticed most of the time, like when you're taking on a co-host client, or I don't know if you're doing full property management now or you're shifting that way, but when you're taking on a co-host client, like you're always designing their property. So like how does that work in your contract? Like, is that something separate you're selling them? And if you are, like, what's the rate, or like how are you working that out? Because I'm curious on how you're working that out. Like even the timeline to get that stuff done, things like that. So
Yep,
kind of dive deep.
it's separate from our regular co-host contract, but we require it. So if you want us to manage your property, it has to be an amazing property. And if it's not, then we're going to redesign it for you. And we have a fee for that. We have a design fee. My wife is the designer for all of these properties. And then we go in and we do the setup. Now we are contracting out a lot of the work now. So we're contracting out like the painters to come in, like these 2 deals that are going live next week. We had to go in and remove every piece of furniture. So we had our team down there go in and remove all the furniture. They had to rip out carpet out of a couple bedrooms and put in some new LVP. We painted almost every room. I had my built-in bunk guy go in and put built-ins. We have 2 twins over 2 queens on built-ins in the bunk room. And then we got there after all of that was done to do our wallpaper murals, get all the furniture assembled, get it set, and make it perfect.
So how are you structuring like that fee? Are you structuring it like an hourly, or is it like the same depending on, or is it depending on the size of the house, or?
We have a price per square foot, and that, a little bit depends on, what we're doing in the house, right? So, if it's a house that we're just going to do a little bit of fluff and design, that price might be a little bit less. If we're going and doing something like this, that price is more. We also, obviously, those contractors are separate from our initial setup, design and setup fees. So when we're, basically kind of acting like a GC, I kind of GC'd them to go in and do all these updates, and I contracted it all out. The owners paid those contractors directly, but I handled all the logistics of getting everything taken care of.
So, do you guys fully furnish it? So, like, say the house is just brand new; it's not an existing short-term rental. Will you? And they're just like, "Hey, Joe, I'll pay you to do everything from A to Z," and you'll buy the beds, the kitchenware, all that stuff. Do you offer that service too?
Yeah, I mean that's basically what's happening in a new design, because in every single house that we've redesigned, there's been less than a couple pieces of furniture that we could keep, and we pretty much took it down to nothing in the house and started over, because that's really, to perform at the highest level, that's what it takes.
Yeah. What percentage of people do you say like that contact you and they're like, maybe you sell them a house or something like, hey, we want you to manage it, Joe. We like working with you, or we heard good things about you. What percentage of people, I guess, what percentage of clients are you saying yes to? Yeah, let's start with that. What percentage of clients you think that are interested in Joe's services are you kind of saying yes to that fit your kind of management criteria?
I'd probably say 50%, and when we say yes to zero, because I do not mix my real estate business with my co-hosting business. So if they're buying a house with me, I'm referring out to other designers, other co-hosts. Obviously, I do teach them how to self-manage, but I feel like there is a, kind of a gray area if I'm trying to be the all-in-one everything. And I don't want to be the guy that sells you the house, designs the house, manages the house, and then something go wrong in the economy and we don't hit our numbers, and then they're like, well, Joe, it's all your fault, right? So
Yeah.
there's plenty of business out there for us to get co-hosting clients outside of my real estate clients. Now I will say a couple of the properties we did take on this year where I had current co-hosting clients that decided to buy another property. They didn't buy their initial property with me, but they're like, Joe, we'd like to buy another one, have you guys redo everything. We've already built that relationship with them for long term. So we did do that for a couple of clients this year, but typically we are not taking on any co-hosting clients from my real estate business.
That's smart. You don't want it to blend into the fiduciary duty, right? Or like the integrity type
Yep.
deal if something were to go wrong. That's smart, because a lot of realtors will just be like, oh yeah, me. So
They do it, and I see it all the time, and it just makes a really gray area, and it just makes it, I don't know. I don't want to cross those lines. I want my real estate clients to understand that I am there to help them find the best possible deal for them. And the honest truth is, if they really want to be successful, they need to self-manage. So we're actually putting together a school at Savvy, and I've already shot a bunch of videos to teach all of our clients a full stack of everything, from buying their first short-term rental. It's actually crazy the amount of people this year that I've sold their first ever short-term rental to. There's a lot of new people getting into the game, and we want to help them, be successful right out of the gate.
Yeah, so when you say gray area, what does that mean? Like if you sold someone a house and you're not going to offer your management services, but other people do, like is it technically, illegal or not illegal? And if you don't know the answer, no worries because you don't do it anyways. But and also you're co-hosting too. So like what does that mean? So like I don't know. I'm just curious how that works because I know a lot of people do. A lot of operators they'll have their agency license or whatever, and they'll help people buy and sell houses, and then they'll keep it in their management portfolio, and then double dip and help them buy and sell another house, or they'll sell that house after a couple years. I don't know. I'm just curious, honestly, like how does that work?
I think part of it is the type of clients that we're working with that doesn't make sense. So the majority of real estate agents are selling houses to sell houses. It's just a sale for them. We're trying to build relationships long term to help these investors. And I think, when you have an agent that's just selling a house, they find a buyer that's just there to buy it. They're not going to go in and design it. They just want to get a manager, and maybe they're a doctor and it's just their second home, or they're whatever, high end W-2 earner, and they're not looking to self manage. They just want to have a house that they can stay in 3 to 6 months a year or 3 to 6 weeks a year, whatever it may be. I think those clientele would be easier to just say, hey, I could do it all for you. But my clients aren't like that. We are specifically working with investors looking for cash flow. And we're working with investors that are savvy, and they are, looking for good deals. And they're not looking to just hire an average property manager to be average. They actually want to make money.
That makes sense.
Have you noticed that? I mean, this is what I've noticed a lot lately is a lot of people I've talked to who've bought in a short-term rental for like the first time, their expectations are a lot higher than what the property is going to generate, especially with like a manager in place and things like that. Are you seeing that out there in PCB?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd probably say I got into over a dozen calls this year with investors that called me and said, this is what I'm looking for. I want this cash flow. I want to hire a manager and the whole works. And I just said to them, I'm like, look, I can't help you there. Like I can't find you a property that's going to give you positive cash flow, and you're going to pay a rental manager 20%, and you're not going to redesign the property. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
the best ROI deals are in that 20% ROI. Occasionally we had a few in the 22 to 24% this year, but at a 20% ROI and you're paying a property manager 20%, best case scenario, you're breaking even. And then
Yeah.
when you take away, the fact that that manager is probably not going to be doing as good of a job as you're probably going to lose money. And I've talked investors out of buying this year and told them this just wasn't the right industry for them, because I'm not in the business to just sell houses. I truly want people to be in a position that are going to hit their goals. And if what their goals are, I can't make that happen, I'm not going to lie to them just to sell them a house.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're looking to a lot of things you're looking at is like, if you can get distressed owners or distressed properties in the correct locations, you may have a better chance to pencil that in if you have that kind of money up front to do the remodels and fix the things that are wrong with it. But and I think in most markets, you're not going to be able to just go buy something and put a manager in place, right? Like it's not going to work.
No, maybe in 2021 and early 2022, but in today's market, that's really hard to find. I'm not saying it's impossible by any means, but it is definitely really hard to find.
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible. I think it just depends on the market. I think some markets are untapped that we don't even know people are going to right now and have no idea, So it's funny because I was looking at a 8 unit. It was a 8 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom unit, like a multifamily unit that was distressed. It's for sale pretty decently. It's pretty cheap. It's for sale about 500 grand in Galveston, like a block from the beach. And I was trying to run numbers like, okay, if I could hit like the 70th percentile in each room, that's like 33,000. I can make like over 200 something. But I got to figure how much money you got to put into it. I got to go walk the property. But I think with getting creative, like things like that in some of these markets, you're just going to have to do to cash flow decently. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Well, I think what you said about untapped market is true though, and I'll use Asheville as an example where Tyler Kuhn's at, and Ashita has been designing some awesome homes. There wasn't a single house in Asheville, North Carolina, 3 years ago doing 200K, much less 300 to 350K, and now they've turned 5 bedrooms into 8 bedroom homes and put these amazing designs, and they're getting $300,000+, $400,000+ revenues in a mountain town because they've created amazing experiences. And I'm seeing the same thing in PCB and the houses that we've redesigned. It's funny. I talk to agents and there'll be a house on the market and I'll be like, all right, this is what this needs to do to be able to hit that. And they'll be like, well, there's no house that's not on the beach that's doing over 100K. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no way you're going to find a house to do over 100K that's not on the beach. I'm like, well, I have 9 of them that I have that are doing like 150 or more. And they're like, how? And it's because most of the agents just are uneducated. They don't understand the short-term rental market.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So with your so how many deals did you close to close $40 million in deals? How many was that, out of curiosity?
So me personally, I'll actually close 30 million. And I think I have a board on the wall. I'm going to be 25 or 26 deals, I think, for the year. So,
Wow.
And my goal next year for me is $50 million, and my team is to do 100 million next year. And I think that's going to be very doable.
That's crazy. Cause like how Austin was saying, like every time he opens up Facebook, every time I open up Facebook, I see you closed a deal. I mean, I open Facebook, it loads, it's you closing a deal, you closing a deal, you closing a deal. Austin, a picture with his kid and his wife, you closing a deal. I don't see anything else. All I see is you guys. It's ridiculous. I mean, you guys gotta get off the feed, but I mean, you're killing it. So, I mean, enough with the real estate part. So what are you doing? What are you doing with your co-host business? Like, what's your plan? Like, how big are you trying to build this thing? Because I know you and I have talked offline, and you know it's cash heavy business. So, like, what's your ultimate plan with it? Do you have a plan?
I'm using my co-host business to buy more properties for myself. You know, my wife and I want to build our personal portfolios, and that's specifically what the co-host business is going to help us do. Our 9 properties that we're keeping for sure in 2026 will do $1.5 million in gross revenue on just 9 properties. And I'd like to pick up maybe 2 more to be right at about that $2 million a year in revenue, and get my percentage from there, and manage really great properties, have a small team. I have a social media manager, virtual assistant, and an executive assistant. And then I did actually transition this year. I actually hired Emil to do my revenue management. And I will tell you that has been the number one best decision I've made in this business, because that is probably the most time consuming part of being a co-host or a property manager. And having the professionals take care of that for me has been amazing.
So you're going to use the co-host business to buy more properties. Are you looking in places other than PCB? What's the secret?
We would like to own in probably 3 or 4 markets, maybe 5. But we definitely would like to have something in like, Northwest, Northeast, mountain markets, and, probably another beach market, maybe further south in Florida. I don't know where those markets are, but we're on the hunt, and we're going to find some more properties. And I joined a new mastermind going into 2026 that I feel is going to help me identify some of those markets, as well as my Savvy team, because my Savvy team obviously has access to some great deals all over, and we're growing to another 30 markets over the next year. So I'll have a lot of access to find some of those great properties.
A new mastermind, huh?
One that you've been in before.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, we've discussed that. So what are you doing with your mastermind? Are you accepting people into your mastermind still, or are you
actually? I'm actually changing my podcast. I'm ending my mastermind at the end of this year, and because I've really put my mastermind together to help people grow into the co-host business, and the majority of what I'm doing now is helping new investors in spaces, and I want to be able to put more time into them. And the co-host podcast, I'm actually transitioning it from being the co-host coach to being the short-term rental playmaker podcast. So that'll start in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be a little bit everything short-term rentals. I'll be able to have some people like co-hosts or just owners or designers or whatever it may be to come in on the podcast and be a little bit more everything rather than focused on just co-hosting. So yeah, that's the plan. Actually, thanks to Austin, I had a great call with Julie George this past week, and I think a few of my co-host mastermind members, she invited them to transfer over to join her, and I have a few of my members as well as myself. I'm actually going to be a part of her mastermind as well. So that's another one that I'll be in going into 2026, and just trying to continue to network and be in the community, because that's the best part of this business is the community.
Isn't she great?
Yes, she is.
She was
She's
so
awesome.
pleasant. She was very pleasant. I really enjoyed having her on.
Yep.
Yeah. and her mastermind group, and I'm in it too, is very affordable. So if you're looking into it, give Julie, Georgia a shout. Put a plug here, Julie and Rachel. So yeah, I think it's very affordable for what the masterminds charge, and there's a lot of people in that group already that I know that are really good operators, so they can kind of help from that perspective. So I'm glad that call went well.
Yeah, yeah. I tell everyone, joining masterminds or joining a group, whatever it may be, can really accelerate your business and can really help you in a lot of ways. But don't just join one to join one. Join one with intention. What is your ROI, and what are you going to get out of that mastermind, or whatever you're going to get out of that program? And if there's no ROI, then don't do it just to be in a group. Definitely you want to find your tribe and be in that network, but make sure you have intention on what you're doing with that.
Yeah. I think some people just join just to be in a group and not like there's so much value provided. It's even the same thing. Like when you first started co-hosting, like you said, you got those first crummy properties that you're trying to prune out now. It's like a confidence builder, right? So you get those properties that build your confidence to get better properties. You be around like-minded people, it gets your confidence to be better. You be around your savvy team, from other parts, it gives you confidence to close more deals, to sell more properties. It really just got to take the value and kind of harness it.
Yep, I agree. I mean, the original mastermind that Austin was a part of, and man, we're going on 3+ years ago now that we did that. And but that initial group, and we still have a group text message chain that's going out, and I still benefit from every single one of those relationships from then, and those relationships will never end.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Like Joe, I want you to talk about like kind of your growth, because you're a man of action, dude. I admire it. I'm the same way, like just taking massive action. And I think you've come a long way in what since we met when we were both kind of getting it started. Well, maybe what do you think, 3 or 4 years ago? Maybe I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost 3 years ago now, because it was the STR Wealth Conference in the February 23. So
Where were you at there? Just take me back in time. Where were you at, and what did your situation in this space kind of look like then?
we bought two short-term rentals in 2022. One, my wife and I, and then had a guy that wanted me to be a partner with him. So we ended up buying two in 2022 and started self-managing those. And then in January of 23, I got my first co-host client down in Branson. So when I came to that wealth conference, I had one co-host property that I had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying to figure it out at the time. And we had been hosting for 6-8 months, whatever it may be, our own properties. And I was really there just to meet people and figure out what that next level looks like. I knew I wanted to be in the room with some of the best, and that was also the time that I joined Bill Faith's accelerator program, and that was probably the first part that really accelerated me. And then our mastermind was the next step.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I enjoyed being a part of your mastermind, and I think that was honestly probably single-handedly the biggest cheat code for me to getting to like 0 to 10 properties in 1 year. Because I was willing to do it, put myself out there. Plus, I invested in the market that I was already in. But then I had a group of people that were also just getting started, but they had answers to a lot of the questions that I didn't have or I wouldn't know. And there was people that were good at certain things in that group. And I think I was more of like the take action guy, sales guy, like how to get properties, how to sign them. And then there's, other people in the group that are good at social media or operations or things like that. So I think, your group has been, just the year that I was really active in it that got me to 0 to 10 properties was uh, gasoline to the fire, man.
Yeah, it was. And for me too. I mean, even though it was technically my mastermind, it was really us as a collective, and that's why we call it the co-host collective. Like we really were all there for each other, and man, seeing I've seen now 4, 5, 6 people that joined that mastermind originally that have left their W-2 jobs. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the percentage of people, like you say, how many did you say? 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think we have 5 people that have left their W-2s out of. We've only had 14 or 15 members all in, so that's a pretty high percentage. So
Yeah, like a third of the people that joined in there. I mean, just because it was a low number of people. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of results there, dude. So you changed. I mean, even in that perspective, even though you're doing away with it, you changed a lot of people's lives.
I think actually I just thought about it. It's actually 7 people total, not including myself because I didn't have a W-2 when I started this. But yeah, and I truly love the teaching, training, coaching. I foresee me getting back into that role of some sort down the road. One of the things that I talked to Julie George about is I want to get on more stages. So I did my first on stage presentation on short term rentals about a month and a half ago, to about 350 investors in St. Louis. From that, one of them ended up buying a short-term rental with me like 2 weeks later. And so my goal is to get on more stages in 2026, speak at some of these big conferences, and continue to share whatever knowledge I have, and hopefully help other people.
So what would you, when you're speaking on these stages, Joe, what are you going to be subject matter expert on? So like having this big conference, I want you to speak at it. And I say, hey, Joe, I haven't booked anyone else yet. What's your go-to topic here? What are you subject matter expert on? You have 30 minutes, let's say 30 minutes to speak. What are you going with?
Yep, and you can go on my YouTube and check out the one that I did. I did about it was about a 45-minute presentation, but it truly was how how to get into the short-term rental space, the different options to get into the short-term rental space, but most importantly, if you're going to get into it, what it takes to be successful. So in my slides, I showed before and after pictures, designs that we did, before and after revenue, and really showed them. I like one of the case studies that I talk about all the time is. And we actually just took over one of these 2 properties, but we had 2 properties that were side by side. They were both Gulf front, 5-bed, 5.5 bath, the ones that I told you that we just redesigned. Well, the one before my client bought it was managed by a previous property manager, and it didn't have a good design. It was really bland and really plain. And that house did $103,000 a year in gross revenue. It's a duplex. So we actually already redesigned and we're managing the other side of this duplex, my wife and I, and we did 220 in the identical property next door. So we're talking $115,000 difference between A and B, and there's no additional amenities, right? It's the same house. All it was design and management. And I talk about that to most of the investors because that's truly what it takes. And that's what I speak about in my presentations is what that next level design looks like and what you need to do.
I think sometimes you don't realize. I think sometimes like people just don't realize that. Like I manage a house that's like 10 minutes from NRG Stadium in Houston, but everybody else in that neighborhood, I've went to like a bunch of Airbnb meetups and I've talked to everybody in that neighborhood and they're all struggling. And I'm like, well, I'm booked. And they're like, well, why are you booked? I'm like, look at the design of the house. I would never design a house that way personally for me to live in, but it's so colorful and so bright. And there's so many things to like draw your eye that it just gets booked all the time, And it's like, it's funny because people are like, oh, well, I don't like that. Like a lot of second homeowners, right? Like, oh, I don't like that. And it's like, yeah, you gotta have to learn to like it because you don't understand that like the normal, like just blue walls and we're just doing whatever. Like it's not gonna work. You need stuff to keep people like looking at it. It's like selling a house, right? It has to stage right.
Yep, it's funny that one of the properties that we're pumpkin planning at the end of this year is exactly that. It's an awesome house with great views, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, but the owner likes it to be pretty pastel and plain, which is fine. That's what the owner wants, but it's not performing to the level it could because the properties that are designed better are crushing it by $30,000-$40,000. And I've had conversations and that's what the owner wants to do, and that's okay. It just doesn't meet our goals anymore, and that's why we're moving on.
You think it's because the owner doesn't believe you, or you think he doesn't want to put the money in an investment, or what do you think it is?
I think it's a mixture of both, but and it's not an owner that uses the property, so I can't say it's because they like it because they use it, because I've managed it for a year and a half now and they haven't used it once. So you know so I don't know, but that's just what their thought is. And I all I can do is continue to show them the houses that are redesigned. And I'll give you one of the most recent ones we did back in I guess we did it in August. We actually did a bachelorette themed house in PCB, about a block and a half from the beach. it's already got almost 60K in bookings on the books for 2026 because there's no other bachelorette themed houses in the entire market. And it is crushing it. I keep calling my revenue manager and saying, raise the rates more, raise the rates more. We're getting $1,500 a night on something that's block and a half from the beach, next summer. It's crazy.
You're on mute, Austin.
Sorry, I got up to get a drink of water. So Joe, this is one of the properties that you manage, right? So this isn't an owned property.
Nope.
So who was the savvy mind behind this? Did you push this and kind of say, hey, like, we should do this, or were they kind of like, hey, there's very few, little to none of these out there that we're going to be the one to do it, and we're going to figure it out. It's like, what was the mindset behind coming up with that really unique STR in that market?
Honestly, my wife and my daughter. And, as soon as my wife saw the house, she's like, ooh, I have a vision, and that's really what it takes on a designer. When she walks into a house, she gets a vision on what she wants to do and what she thinks could be successful. And then, I look at the data and the numbers and we run it from there. It's funny, about 2 months after we went live with this, I actually saw an article from AirDNA that showed that bachelorette themed homes are outpacing markets by anywhere from 20 to 40%. So, and that's not just in Nashville, that's all over the place. So we're actually getting ready to do a second one. So we actually have another bachelorette themed house we're going to do. We're redesigning in January.
So what was what for the owner of that house, did they give you pushback and be like, dude, I don't want to do that with my house? Or were they like, no, that'll crush? Like, what was their feedback on that?
We've been very fortunate. The owners we've worked with, we've shown them what we've done and what the numbers are. And these most recent owners that we've been doing some work for, they're like, you do whatever you want. We trust you. We know you're going to, give us great results. We don't even share vision boards with them. They don't even see it till the finished product. And they just say, we trust you to make this happen, and we go and make it happen. And that's the kind of relationship we like. I mean, that doesn't mean we're always going to have those kind of owners. There's been some that have wanted us to send them design boards or at least give them some idea of what we're doing. But these owners have not been like that. They're like, we've seen what you've done. We see the numbers you're doing. Just we love it. Go for it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. That's cool. Those are the kind of people you
Collecting
want to work
checks. Yeah.
Yep.
Collecting
Yes.
checks. How important, this is like the age-old debate. How important is it to allow pets?
I'd probably say we get 10 to 20K extra in bookings per house because we're pet friendly.
Do you require your owners to allow pets?
Yes.
You make it a requirement?
Oh yeah. And we had a couple houses that didn't have pets because they had carpet, and we actually got rid of the carpet within a year of us taking ownership. And now every single one of our properties is pet friendly, I think, except one, which is one of the ones that I'm getting ready to pumpkin plan. And it does. And where it really makes a difference is not in the peak season, in the slow season. Because at the beach market, you cannot snowbird at a condo if you bring your pet, because none of the condos allow pets for guests. They only allow pets for owners. So the snowbirds, and I really don't take a lot of snowbirds, but I get people for a week or 2 weeks that want to get away during the winter months. And we'll do, $3, $4, $5, $7,000 in a month during the slow season because we allow pets, and we'll get a lot more bookings because of it. So I'd say the winter, we actually are a lot heavier on having pet guests than the peak season.
Yeah, I think it's super important. I just try to think of all the objections that like other owners have, like I don't want pets, or I don't want to do this or do that, and it's like they're messing up the revenue that they can generate, right? So,
and it's not the pet fee; it's the bookings, it's the occupancy, and my houses are running like my personal one is we're at a 68% occupancy for the year, and the market occupancy is like 56, 57%. And a lot of that is because of pets. And we'll actually hit over 70% next year, I think, because January was our first month last year and it was just a little slower. So if I take January out, we're sitting at about 72% occupancy for the year. So and those are good rates at the same time. But yeah, the pets, it's not just about the pet fee of $200 or whatever it is you're charging. It's the extra, bookings that you wouldn't have gotten without being pet friendly.
Yeah. So I don't know if last time we had you on or not, but can you give the new people that you keep promoting our podcast to, that are following you on social media, that go and listen to our podcast? Because Joe tells everybody about our podcast, so we appreciate that, Joe. What are a couple tips you can give somebody who's new in the space, trying to co-host or be a property manager, to help them succeed? Like what kind of tips you got for them?
The biggest mistake I see with co-hosts is and I just had a conversation with one the other day. He's like, I got one in this market and one in this market and one in that market. I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare. And he's like, well, how do I build and build my co-hosting business? I'm like, choose a market and dominate it. Become that person of interest. Become that person. Like when I went into PCB, I wanted to be known as the PCB guy, right? So everybody knows me as the PCB guy. I dominate that market, and whether it be in the co-hosting space, I turned down 30 something properties this year in co-hosting that I referred off to other people because they didn't meet my buy box. And it's because I became the person of interest. So if you really want to become a co-host, choose your market, choose a market that has good potential revenue, and then just go be that person that everybody wants to know. And I did that by going into all the different social media groups and just commenting. And I didn't promote my business every time I was commenting. I was just giving helpful tips and giving advice. And, and if somebody did ask, then I'd throw in my plug in there, and then I'd get people that messaged me and said, hey, I saw you said you do this. And all of my co-hosting clients, except for my very first two, have come from either social media or from referrals. I have not cold called or had to go out and find any of my clients except for the very first two.
And are you still managing in, would you say it was your first one Branson?
Yeah, I have two in Branson, but I will not have those in 2026.
So you're not planning on expanding to be the Branson guy?
Nope. I'm really happy in PCB. And the reason why it's important is, I have amazing teams now in PCB, right? I could call any of my team members, whether it be the 2 or 3 different handymen or the 2 or 3 different cleaners that I work with, and have somebody at a property within 30 minutes. I take care of them. Actually, my wife and I are going to throw a little party for all of our team, probably in January or early February, and have a bonfire on the beach and cater it and have all of our teams together at one place at one time. Because when you can build the team and you can take care of them, they will do so much for you that you don't get if you're in 9 different markets. Like, you're not going to be able to build a team if you're trying to spread yourself that thin. It's much harder.
So it's better to scale in the same market, is what you're getting at, so you could have multiple team members and grow together.
Yep. And we will probably expand our co-hosting to one winter market when we invest in a winter market, just so I can have winter income. We don't make a ton of money November through January at the beach. And so I wouldn't mind, buying a property that's going to be in a ski in, ski out type of market, and maybe adding 2 or 3 properties to go with that I co-host in that one market, just to be able to kind of have some good winter income. But other than that, I don't want to be in more than 2 markets co-hosting. Now, we're going to buy in a couple other markets, but I don't want to manage in more than 2 markets.
You say that, Joe. You say that until you get there and you start posting about it, and then it starts getting sent around, and you got the only bachelorette deal in the area, and everybody's like, "Wait, Joe's in Breckenridge, Colorado. Joe, will you manage my property?" And it's like, "Oh, okay, I'll pick up 10 here and 10 there."
Yeah.
That's how it goes, man. Unless you're just gonna be super disciplined with saying the no, right?
Yeah. And right now, I mean, it comes down to our goals and where we are at that time. And, right now, the real estate market over the next 4 years with bonus depreciation is going to be phenomenal. And we're going to sell a lot of houses in the Florida Panhandle over the next 4+ years. I think bonus depreciation 100% goes through 2029. So that's, that's huge. I mean, I'm closing $10 million this week because of bonus depreciation this year. And that's going to continue for the next 4 years. So lots of investors are going to take advantage of that. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. So if real estate dries up and I decide to grow my co-host business more, then I'll do that. I don't foresee real estate drying up by it at any means, but you never know where life will take you 1 year, 3 years, 5 years down the road. But in our long-term goals that my wife and I have set out, we do not have a plan to have more than a dozen or so co-host properties.
So then he goes from like looking for a market with the slow season, and then he needs a market with the soft season before the slow season. And then he's like in 10 markets before you know it,
Yeah, well, I want to say one more thing. Joe, what is like, because I know like we talk about all the Facebook posts, and we talk about, you closed another house and you're doing all this in sales, which is all fantastic stuff. But one thing I know about you, man, is you're a workhorse. Like you're always traveling. You're always like you're a grinder, dude. Like one thing I definitely admire about you is the amount of kind of work you put in and what you're willing to do to make this happen. Unless I'm incorrect about this, but I just, as much as I see you travel, I can just tell, man. And with hosting the mastermind group and being a real estate investor and being a co-host as well as an agent, and you've got doing all these things, I guess my question is what is kind of like a work week look like to you, and how many hours do you kind of put in on everything related to all businesses?
There are busy times and there are slow times. There's times that I'm putting in 12-hour days, and there's sometimes that I'm putting in 2-hour days. Yesterday, I worked for about 2 hours in the morning, and then I went and put Christmas lights up in the outside the whole rest of the day. And then there's some days that I'm on my laptop for 10 to 12 hours, or on a lot of calls. The biggest thing that's time consuming is first time investor calls, and I'll get during most of the year I'd get 8 to 10 of those a week, sometimes more. And those are 30-minute conversations, basically selling short-term rentals to a new investor. And so my work week changes quite a bit. I am I'm not going to say the word slow down in 2026, but I am systematizing things to buy back some of my time. And, having that revenue manager was step one. Adding Host Buddy AI, as we're getting that, is going to be another step to that. Having my virtual assistants on board. My new social media manager just got onboarded 2 weeks ago, and she's phenomenal. Really excited about that. So trying to systemize some things to buy back my time in 2026, but it's still going to be 40+ hour work weeks, week in and week out. I will say on the side note though, I mean, this year we spent 2 weeks on a road trip to Colorado. We spent a week in Napa Valley. We spent a week in Miami. We spent 2 weeks in Florida vacationing, not just working. I went to Canada for a bear hunting trip for a week. I probably can put 9 or 10 weeks of vacation time. Now, did I work every single day of those a little bit? Yeah. I mean, I never put my laptop away and said, okay, I'm completely unplugging today. Very rarely. It happened occasionally, but I was able to enjoy all of that while building a business. And there's no other business in the world that I've been able to do that with. My wife and I owned a preschool. We owned a lot of landscape business. I used to be in corporate retail for 15 years. This business gives me that flexibility and that freedom to work anywhere in the world that I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how you got more Christmas lights for your house, since I've seen the inside of your house. I saw the video, and it is like a fucking toy store in a Christmas movie in Home Alone or something. Like, your house is wild, dude. Like, how you got the Christmas spirit just like flowing through your house. Like, it's killer.
It's funny. I actually took my Christmas sweater off that I was wearing, because I wear a Christmas sweater every day in December. So, it's Christmas and Halloween are my two big ones. I really, really enjoy them. I love the family aspect of it. I get into Christmas spirit. I actually could listen to Christmas music in July. It's just who I've always been.
Well, I think that's fantastic. I will tell everybody this will air at the new year, so we'll be past Christmas.
Yes.
So Joe wishes everybody a happy Christmas, and as well as we do. Joe, dude, I mean, you're killing it. Like you do work your ass off, like Austin said. I remember we were talking at like the STR Wealth Conference, and you're like, I'll be right back. I gotta go write an offer real quick. Or like you were finishing up for the day, just had dinner, it's 9 o'clock, gotta write an offer. So you're busting your ass, Joe. And, I see what you're doing, and Austin sees what you're doing. And we really just admire the things that you're doing. So you're killing the game. So we appreciate you coming on, man, because I know you got an offer to write after this. I know you got to go do something, but let
So I
everybody
hope
know.
so.
I hope so too, man. I hopefully get our percentage. Oh, by the way, if you guys all use Host Buddy, like Joe did, he used our code Co-Host Bros, got a free month. So just saying, put that out there. But Austin threw his fist in the air. But anyway, Joe, dude, tell everybody where they can find you and all those things, and we'll just wrap it up.
Yeah. You mentioned about the hustle, man, and it is a hustle. When you're building something, you're building a business, you're building a brand, you're building anything. It's a hustle, and it's a hustle those first few years. And I'll tell you, it wasn't always this way. Actually, in 2023, I will tell you, it was the least amount of money I've ever made in my life. Well, at least in the last decade or so, because I got rid of my lawn business. I only had 2 co-host properties, and I told my wife, I need to get rid of this lawn business so I could go build this business. And, that even that winter going into 2023 into early 2024, we were like really budging it out, trying to get through the winter because we didn't have a lot of business. But we believed in ourselves. We believed in what we were doing, and we just kept hustling. And 2024 obviously was an amazing year for us. And 2025, we're 3Xing that. And I don't know what 2026 is going to bring, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. Very blessed, and I've had a lot of great people around me, like you guys, that have helped me along the way. So if you guys weren't looking for me, I mean, Facebook is my number one place. I'm more active on Facebook than any other platform. It's just my name, Joe Rhone, on Facebook. Friend request me, send me a DM. You've got obviously listen to my podcast. Officially, when this is coming out, the podcast will be called the Short-Term Rental Playmaker Podcast, and we're going to talk about everything short-term rentals on that. But you can go back and listen to the last 65 episodes or so of the Co-Host Coach, and we've had both of you guys on that podcast with me, and be happy to chat. And then finally, if you want to email me, you're looking for real estate, Savvy Realty, joe@savvy.realty is my email address, and we can schedule a call and talk about buying a short-term rental in the Emerald Coast.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll say that the episodes that me and Austin were on were his highest ranking episodes. I'm just kidding. I'm just making that up. Fake news. But yeah, anyway, Joe, thank you so much. We totally appreciate it. Austin, drum roll.
All right. Thank y'all for listening. Peace.